So I had a very good first meeting with the Honourable Foreign Minister, Dr. Mahmoud. A very wide-ranging discussion. It's very good to welcome a Foreign Minister who knows Europe well. Of course, he has very strong connections to Belgium, which is the headquarters of the European Union. So he's studied there, he knows Europe well and how Europe functions. So we had a very wide-ranging discussion about how we take forward EU-Bangladesh relations. And there's a lot on our agenda, as you know. We are going to start negotiating a new partnership and cooperation agreement very soon, which is a very wide-ranging new generation agreement. We only have one other in South Asia, covering all different policy areas of collaboration. We also talked, of course, about the more broad global situation, so what's happening in the Middle East, the Ukraine conflict, the Russian aggression in Ukraine, which is, of course, a huge priority for the European Union. And we talked about the Rohingya crisis, so all of the areas where we have long-standing collaboration with Bangladesh and where, of course, collaboration will continue for many years to come. So it's a very fruitful first meeting and a very dynamic discussion, and I look forward, and we look forward in the European Union to taking forward EU-Bangladesh relations with the Honourable Foreign Minister.
Ambassador Charles, what is the future of EU-Bangladesh relationship in the next 5 years?
I think in the next 5 years we'll be really seeing a step change in our relationship, and that will be driven by the new Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. A Partnership and Cooperation Agreement is a much more political in nature than the existing agreement we have with Bangladesh, which dates to 2001, and that's mainly premised on development cooperation. Of course, development cooperation is still a part of what we do here in Bangladesh, but as you know, we had our first political dialogue a year ago, and that covers international affairs as well. And it's important that we have that mature discussion on respective foreign policy, not just about what's important in our immediate bilateral relations, but what's happening in the wider world and how Bangladesh and the European Union can influence things of shared priority. So, of course, that includes the Middle East, and of course it includes the Ukraine conflict. So.
Excellency, did you talk about your feeling and statement that the EU regrets all the major political parties were not participating in election? Was this in your discussion, the first opening discussion?
No, because we've made our statements, and the election happened, and we made our statements on that. This was very much a forward-looking discussion about how now we build the bricks of a modern relationship with Bangladesh, and that of course involves foreign policy issues. But we'll be seeing, of course, in due course, other ministers in the areas where we directly engage with the government of Bangladesh. But this was a very good, wide-ranging.
And you forgot the past.
No, of course not. The past is very important. We still have our election expert mission in town. As you know, they haven't left yet. They will be making a report that will be made public, thanks to the agreement of the government of Bangladesh. So it's not a question of that. It's a question, though, of making sure that we put our relations on the right path for the years to come.
But whatever the election monitoring report was, EU will continue support and working with Bangladesh in the next 5 years.
Of course, and we'll work on the recommendations of that report, which is what we did with our last expert mission. It's supposed to be to support engagement where it's wanted and where there's a partnership need. So that's what relationships are all about: working together on shared concerns.
You mentioned about the 5 years relationship, but what is the priority right now in terms of the relationship with Bangladesh?
Well, we have many priorities, and for us in these 7 years period that we've set our priorities for our development engagement, but of course renewable energy, the Global Gateway flagship project, we discussed that with the Honourable Minister. You know that the Honourable Prime Minister was in Brussels in October. We now have to make that €400 million agreement into a reality on the ground, and Bangladesh is one of the few flagship countries for the Global Gateway around the world, and this is where we will make a test case of our cooperation through helping Bangladesh reach its goal of generating energy from renewable sources. And I look forward to taking that forward. Of course, the Rohingya crisis, which we must never let become a forgotten crisis, is a huge shared priority, over 1 million refugees. And we all know the challenges that are happening also on the other side of the border in Myanmar now. We want to work closely with that as one of the key humanitarian donors. But many issues, from climate change to migration, we discuss migration issues, legal pathways to Europe. There's a lot on the agenda, and that reflects the maturity of our partnership.